everybody, it's Judy Klock coming to you from Stampin' with Crafty Klock. It's Tuesday, it is noon, however I am not live. I had to run some errands on my lunch break today, so I did pre-record this video. But today, for the very first time, it's March 1st, you can purchase the Waves of Inspiration stamp set and the matching Waves bundle dies. So I demoed this a couple of weeks ago when we could first get it, just to give you a little preview of it. So this is the stamp set. You've got 7 stamps. You've got this lovely wave stamp, the pelican on the pylons, and then a couple of sentiments, and of course the flying birds. We have the matching dies. You have the waves, you have the pelican, you have a couple of labels here for sentiments. You can cut out some birds, some clouds, and these pieces fit over these clouds. I have the wrong pieces there. But anyway, they are to give depth to your clouds. That's probably something I wouldn't do because it's just one little extra piece. So I would probably just stick with those. But you have those options. You can do that. All right, so I don't do a lot of heat embossing, and I thought, wow, I think this stamp set would be perfect for heat embossing. So today we're going to make a masculine card. Because again, I also struggle with masculine cards, but I'm like, let me see if I can use this to make some masculine birthday cards. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to work first with a piece of our thick basic white as my card base. Now, whenever you're using a card base, you always want to use, if you're using the white or the very vanilla, you want to use the thick. It just gives you a better card base. It's a little bit more sturdy. So when you want to use the vanilla or the white, just go with the thick. I'm going to add to that a piece of the designer series paper. Okay, we're going to put that there. This is 5 1/4 by 4. And then we're going to layer on a piece of our, we're going to stamp on this. Then we have a piece of our basic white. This is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And we're going to put that underneath a piece of our navy, Night of Navy, that is 3 by 4. All right, so let's go ahead. I don't need that piece of blue, that was just in my pile. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing I want to do is I want to take my Emboss Buddy, and this is something you can buy in any craft store, and I'm just going to run it over the cardstock that I want to emboss on. This just helps remove some of the static. So that's done. Now I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus because the wave stamp is pretty large. So it is red rubber, so I don't need that extra cushion. I'm just using the actual base of my Stamparatus. Now I want to just make sure that I am going to get the whole wave. Well, most of it. This is obviously a little shorter, so we're going to cut off some of that part, but that's okay. And a little bit of this end, but that's okay. We'll get that gorgeous curl in there, and that's really kind of what we wanted. Go down just a little, just a hair. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my magnets on. Okay. I'm going to put these on the top because I'm going to be stamping on the bottom. So I'm going to take my Versamark. I'm going to ink up my stamp. It helps to put the cover underneath there. Just gives a little bit of sturdy support to this Stamparatus platform. Okay, got that inked up. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp right on my Night of Navy. Okay, make sure I get it a good stamp that looks, let me go over here. I didn't like the way this area looked. That's what I love about the Stamparatus, is that you can just stamp right back over it. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to move my Stamparatus out of the way. And now I've got this little sort of embossing tool here. I bought this years ago at, like, I don't know, Michael's or Joann's or something, but it's great because it's got a little funnel there. So after you pour in your embossing powder, I'm using our white powder. I'm just going to kind of pour it all over, and I can use the funnel to put it back in here. So like I said, you can probably get one of these on Amazon or Michael's or Joann's or something. Okay. All right, so just going to kind of give that a few hits. Make sure none of our stray powder is there. It looks good. Going to move that out of the way. Now I'm going to take a clothespin that just keeps your fingers from getting burned by the heat tool. And I'm going to bring in my heat tool. It's going to get noisy just for a little bit. If I can find out where my on-off switch is. And we're just going to put the heat tool over this until it becomes shiny. Once it becomes shiny, then you know that the powder is set. And you can actually see it turning from sort of a dull white into a bright white. So that's how you know your embossing powder is getting set, because you can actually physically see it change colors. Okay. I'm just going to go over just a little bit more just to make sure we got all of it. All right, let me turn that off. Let me just make sure that, and you can also, like, you put it on an angle, you can see it. Once it looks shiny, then you know that it's done. And that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more over there. Let me just get that little tiny edge and see. I think maybe we got it, but let's be on the safe side. All right. Okay. Now that looks good. Now that all looks shiny. So I think we've got all of our embossing powder set. So now we're ready to assemble our card. So I'm going to go on, I'm going to put on my designer series paper. There we go. All right. And now I'm going to layer these two up. I'm going to put the Night of Navy right on my piece of basic white. And again, this is just like 1/8 of an inch longer and wider than my Night of Navy. So not a lot of the white is going to show. It's just going to be enough to just kind of give a little bit of contrast when we put it up against here. Then I'm going to add some Stampin' dimensionals, and we're going to pop that on. But I mean, just using a little bit of embossing powder can really just change the whole look of your card. It adds a little bit of texture to your card, and it just gives it a little bit of shine, because it's a shiny, when it's heat set, it gets a little shiny. So if you've never worked with embossing powders, I encourage you to try them. All right, now we're going to add just a little banner that says happy birthday. We have our little happy birthday. It's just a scrap of my basic white, so save those scraps. You never know when you need just a little bit for a sentiment. I'm just going to stamp the happy birthday. Looking pretty good. Let me close this up. I already have a ton of ink on my fingers. All right, we're going to just trim this up. I'm just going to take out a pair of scissors, paper snips, whatever you got. Now, this sentiment is going to hang off, and this has dimensionals on it. So we're going to put one dimensional on the very end, and that will even that up when we go to put it on our card. And the rest of this is just going to go ahead, and we're going to put some Stampin' Seal on there. And then we're just going to put that right there. And there you have it. There is really what I would consider a masculine birthday card. Very simple, very quick. All we did was just do some heat embossing to give us that gorgeous wave. That was one. Here's another one you could do. This one, I heat embossed it with the white first, and then I took our Stampin' Right markers and I just colored over it. I used Coastal Cabana and Pacific Point, and I just kind of colored over that, then gently wiped it off with a paper towel. And you see I kind of wiped my finger over there, so I got a little bit of a smudge there, but I'll figure out a way to fix that. And then here I stamped it in Coastal Cabana first, and then I stamped Night of Navy, but I stamped the Night of Navy off first because I didn't want the Night of Navy to be very dark and overpower my Coastal Cabana. And then I did a clear embossing powder over it. So again, you've got just a little bit of depth and texture to that. So those are my 3 masculine cards using our new Waves bundle. What the heck is its name again? I forgot already. Waves of Inspiration. So there you go. 3 masculine cards, very easy to do. Just a little bit of heat embossing and you're good to go. That's it for this edition of Live at Lunch. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching today or watching on a replay, do let me know where you're watching from. Have a great afternoon, everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye.